Hi friends, I'm back with review for another interesting book. This is the one Vikram and Betal, Night of the Blood Moon by Amit Juneja, um, who is the creator of Sunny Side Up Stories. So first we'll get into the story. So this is the book is about Vikram Chauhan. He is an Indian but now settled in the US, in specifically in the Silicon Valley. So he's a fintech entrepreneur. He has a AI company which sort of looks into, like, tries to analyze any discrepancies with the financial transactions. His career is actually at a peak. Right now he's in a very happy, successful place. But then that is when suddenly he comes to know that his wife Meera, whom he loved and married like 3 years back, I think. So Meera is diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and when he comes to know of that, obviously his world is shattered. Everything feels like the life that they have built, both of them, and the future that they are looking forward to, everything is just gone in a minute, because of her diagnosis. So while Meera is undergoing chemotherapy and whatever the doctors have suggested, it's also clear that since it's been a late diagnosis, right? So there are less chances of her survival, definitely not beyond few months or maybe at max a year. So while Meera is undergoing the treatment, Vikram tries to sort of see if there are any alternate therapies or if there are any other breakthrough recent scientific miracles that happened. And then that he comes across a random blog post on the internet where another person says that he recently visited a city called Gresham in Rajasthan, India, where there is a mysterious temple somewhere inside the forest area. Not something widely known to everyone, but that's where he visited, and one of the priests of the temple has done he performed a puja, and after that this person's terminal cancer has been cured. So he said, the person whoever wrote the blog gives a lot of details that see, I did so and so, I went to this place and from there I went there, and I think he was like blindfolded during his journey. So he was able to find some people who helped him to reach the temple and the priest, and then after having some some sort of rituals conducted, and then probably some sort of prasad that's given there, he claims that his terminal cancer has been cured. Okay, so looking at this blog post, Vikram actually feels like motivated, and then probably somewhere he just gets this hope that maybe he can also have Meera visit that place, and then maybe it will help cure her cancer, because right now he is not seeing many options, even though they have the best set of doctors, but then her chances of curing looks very less. So he doesn't go himself initially. What he does is, Vikram is an orphan who grew up in an orphanage back in India, like while he was there. Then he had like one friend, or rather someone whom he thinks as a younger brother, Dushyant. So he asked Dushyant if Dushyant can actually do some research around this place, right, Gresham, and there is some forest, Shambhala forest, and if Dushyant can do some research around that with his employees, and if he can gather some more information, probably then he and Meera can come there and probably look for that cure. Okay, so Dushyant engages, of course Vikram provides a lot of money, and then Dushyant engages some of his employees. Dushyant is running like a call center, of course, which is also sort of helped by, initially to set up that call center, Vikram actually helps Dushyant like an elder brother. So Dushyant feels that he is indebted to Vikram, so he engages his employees. But then what happens is, there are a lot of rumors around this place, Gresham, and the forest area and all of that, that a lot of people have been going missing there. A lot of deaths have been reported, missing cases have been reported. So people are very reluctant to share any details with anyone outside. People are even reluctant to go there and try to live there or try to find more details. So that's when things are not really moving as expected. Vikram himself, he comes to India, he comes to Grisham, and there he meets Dushyant and of course 3 employees of the Dushyant. So one is Badram, who is like one of the employees. So he also has prominent role later on. Then there are 2 more people, Shankar and Kalpana. So they are all, both are employees of Dushyant, but also they both are like engaged to be married soon, so they are like fiancés. So along with these people now, Vikram actually tries to go and try to find some details. Finally they get like one person called Haricharan who gives him some inputs, but then of course Haricharan takes a lot of huge amount of money from Vikram to show where the temple is, but he says that he's not going to enter the temple. So there is a ritual that happens on this full moon, once in a year that happens, which is the blood moon night. That's when a lot of rituals happen, and there is a talk of even a lot of animals will be sort of slaughtered or given as sacrifice, and the locals also suspect that maybe even human beings are also being sacrificed in some sort of tantric rituals. But with all these hurdles also, Vikram decides that he has to go and find the truth for himself. So with help of Haricharan, he sort of treks that whole forest area. He finally reaches the temple, which is called the Yamanadu area, and the temple. So there is a person, the main priest called Siladitya, who does all these rituals. So Vikram intends to meet Siladitya. But then first when he reaches the temple, of course he is alone, because Haricharan just shows where the temple is but refuses to enter it, and Vikram actually asks Dushyant not to come. He thinks it is just his own thing not to risk others' lives. So when Vikram goes there, other priests of Shiladitya, they capture him. But later on, after that ritual is complete, Vikram actually gets to meet Shiladitya, whom everyone forces him to call Mahanta. You are not supposed to say Shiladitya's name, you have to say Mahanta. And when he meets Mahanta, Vikram says whatever is the reason for his coming there, and what he has to do, and how why or how Shiladitya will cure his wife and all of that. That's when Shiladitya shows a person nearby, near a pond, who looks to be in a human form, but probably a very different thing, some sort of a creature which Vikram has never seen in his life. It's difficult for Vikram on first go to think whether that is a person or whether it's some sort of odd creature. Okay, but Shiladitya says that Vikram's has a past, and his elders are from a certain dynasty or line, if I can say that, and that the creature that he's seeing, or the person that he's seeing, is a Pisach, the what we know as Betal. The Vikram Betal stories that all of us may have read as kids. So Shiladitya says that the creature, or rather it's the Pisach Betal, and Vikram is here because of his destiny, and that Shiladitya knows how Vikram lost his parents as a kid. He knows everything about Vikram, and it's Vikram's destiny that he had to actually come searching for Shiladitya and the Pisach. And then Shiladitya says that now there is 7 days of time till when the Pisach Betal is tied to this Shambal forest area. So only within these 7 days only Vikram can actually bind the Pisach and can get that Pisach to him. He needs that Pisach for whatever reasons, maybe he intends to do some rituals or whatever. He doesn't elaborate on that, but he asks Vikram to bring back the Pisach, and if he does that, if he succeeds in that, and of course he only has 7 days time, like every year it happens only once, and the night of the blood moon, that's when it starts, and for the next 7 days the Pisach wanders around in this forest, and after that he just moves away. So he has only these 7 days to catch the Pisach, and then to bring the Pisach to Shiladitya. If he does that, Shiladitya promises that he will cure his wife Meera, but he also threatens that if he tries to just go away, he will harm the employees whom he has involved. So he will even harm Meera, he will harm Dushyant and Bhadra and Kalpana and Shankar. So Vikram, who is like techie guy, who is entrepreneur and founder of a startup from the Silicon Valley, is now forced to believe in Pisach, and especially a Pisach like Betal, about whom he may have heard in his childhood from stories. So Vikram is now at this crossroads where if he has to save Meera, he has to go and bring this Pisach back to Shiladitya to get Meera cured. So that is the rest of the story. Like will a person like Vikram, will he believe in all these superstitions? Will he try to get Betal? Is catching Betal and surrendering him to Shiladitya, is that such a straightforward thing? What really happens? Will Betal listen to him? Will he be able to save Meera? That's the so coming to the review, of course what intrigued me is the title of Vikram and Betal, and of course all of us have read the story of Vikram and Betal as the folk tales, or just these very interesting horror stories, or we may also have watched multiple retellings of it on the TVs in our childhood. But then this is like something that is reimagined by the author for now the current days. But what is very interesting is like how the author sort of tries to bring together a very modern world with a world where there are still these sort of evil creatures, or however you want to look at them as Pisach. So it's very interesting the way author has actually reimagined it, like how there would be, if there is at all a Betal today, how it would be, or how you will be able to if someone will really trust those stories, and will a very modern person, today's person, will he be able to capture Betal? First of all, will he be able to, will he ever trust these sort of stories? So the author first gives a background of the original Vikram and Betal story and the origin story, and then there is today's Vikram's life in the Silicon Valley, and what happens with Meera, and then he coming to Rajasthan, and from there the story takes such pace where he goes in search of the temple, and then when he reaches there, and that's very unexpected what awaits Vikram. Like he never thinks that, or even not even dreams or ever thinks that he has to catch a Pisach to get his beloved wife treated. So and after that what really happens, the hide and seek, or rather the sort of games that Betal plays with him, and what happens, and how much Vikram is affected by it, how are Dushyant, Bhadra, Kalpana and Shankar affected by it, and how do they go about this, because there is only 7 days of time. So that is all very interesting. There is also like for all these missing people or the people who are involved with Betal, or in this whole scheme of things, there is like author actually gives some very interesting way of when there is a missing case or when there is a murder or whatever is reported to the police, how they document the case, but then what really is happening, like police only document what is visible to them, or what is generally a modern concept of things, but probably if there is really otherworldly creatures, what will the police actually miss documenting, or what they actually miss investigating. So that is also important part. I don't want to give more details there because that would be a spoiler. And also towards the end, the way the author actually closes it, so somewhere in pre-climax I was a little hesitant or a bit not so much satisfied where this was going, because it doesn't happen as expected, but then the author quickly sort of ties things, and also it's not like it doesn't go in a expected way, which is actually good, that you always expect a happy ending or you expect like a heroic thing, or it's not like that. It's very practical how the author actually sort of thought about all these sequences, right? That is very good. So it's not like everything Betal has a upper hand or Vikram has an upper hand, or it's like what you may have seen or thought, like okay, this is a hero, this is how he will do it. That is very much good aspect of the story, is that author keeps it realistic. There are some parallel threads also, but which at that point, if you are just wondering why is this brought up, author actually ties that also at the end. So the reader will know what exactly is the significance of that. So everything is like sort of at the end the author ties up all the threads, so he doesn't leave anything open, so that actually gives you a certain satisfaction that okay, this is how it ended. So that is about the storytelling part, and the locations where it is set, or how the author has described them, or the characters. There are not many characters. You would think for this sort of a story there are like a bunch of them. There are few characters, but very impactful, and they have a good role to play in the story, how they take the story forward. That is also very interesting. Of course, Vikram is like the protagonist, and it's very interesting, his characterization. He is like normal realistic person, but also who actually thinks about like he has his integrity, his values, and when he thinks about like how he wants to save Meera, but then at the cost of what, like what does he have to sacrifice for saving her. That is a very interesting aspect. So overall, I'm really impressed with how the story is like thought by the author, how he narrates it, how he concludes things. So it's like such a pacey book. So I would say it's one of the best reads for me in the recent times. It just keeps the reader engaged throughout, and it also gives that satisfaction of everything is sort of there is a closure for everything. Maybe or maybe not, you may or may not like how things are given a closure, but yeah, the author has given some very good conclusion for everything. And he also, as I told you, through the police documents, he gives the scientific part of it, and then probably an otherworldly part of it. So overall, I think if you want to read something new in Indian fiction, definitely go for this. It's like a retelling of what we all may have read in the childhood, but it's a very interesting way of a reimagined story. So I would say highly recommended. I hope you'll enjoy reading it. Thank you.